After winning another talent contest, this one at Beckman Junior High in Gary, the boys were brought to the attention of a man named Gordon Keith, who named a small local label called Steeltown Records. Keith immediately signed the brothers to a limited record deal. On a Saturday morning filled with great promise, Joseph took his broad to Steeltown Recording Studio. The boys were led into a small glass booth. Michael was given a large set of metal headphones, which came halfway down his neck. His brothers plugged their instruments into amplifiers, which were there were backup singers and a horn section. This was the record business at last. The Jackson brothers were thrilled, as one could see by looking at their bright young faces. Of course, this was a big deal for Joseph too. It took a few hours to record that first song. After that, they could return every Saturday for the next few weeks for more recordings. One song was instrumental. Michael sang leads, vocals, and the other six. It was obvious that he was to be the centerpiece of the group. He was so obviously unique, with such a true sound and amazing self assurance at early age. Two singles were eventually released on Steeltown in 1968. Big Boy back with You've Changed and We Don't Have to Be Over 21 to Fall in Love back with Jam Session. Both were mediocre numbers that didn't really hit at Michael Jackson's potential as a vocalist, but the boys were filled with them just as the same. After all, these were their first recordings. From there, it seemed nothing might be possible. What a memorable moment it must have been for them. Then, when the family got around the radio to hear the broadcast of that first recording, Michael recalled that as it played, they sat in the living room, stunned. Then, when it was over, we all laughed and hugged one another. We felt we had arrived. This was an amazing time for us as a family. I can still feel the excitement when I think back on it. Ben Brown, then a high-level executive at Steeltown, remembered the day the Jackson boys posed for publicity photographs in March 1968. After the photographer positioned the boys, Michael left the lineup and stood off to the side, pouting. Brown said, "This isn't gonna look like a publicity portrait," Michael complained. "It's gonna look like a family portrait." "We'll fix it," Joseph said. Then Michael went and rearranged the whole group, put him sit in front on one knee and said, "Go ahead, take the picture now." We took it, and you know what? That was a great shot. How did we know how to do that? How to take a publicity photo? He was such an old soul, as if he had been a superstar in another life. In May 1968, the group was invited back to the Apollo to perform, and this time be paid for their appearance. They were on a bill with Etta James, Joseph Simon, and another family group. The Five Stairsteps and QB as singer, who was just 2 years old. Michael was a hard worker, rhythm and blues singer, Joseph Simon said in an interview. And an echo of the memories of practically everyone who ever worked on the same stage as the young Jackson star. There was a part of me that thought he was a midget. His father was a slick businessman. I heard it would have been just like him a past a midget as of a child. I heard. I remember going up to Michael and looking at him real close, thinking, okay, now is this kid a midget or not? "Hey man, stop staring at me, okay?" he told me. I remember him being talented, yes, James said Michael, but polite and very interested too. I was working my show during my thing on stage. As I'm singing, tell mama, I see this little black kid watching me from the wings, and I'm thinking, who is this kid? He's distracting me, so I go over to him in between songs. While the people are clapping, I whisper, Scat Kid, get lost. You're bugging me. Go watch from the audience. I scared the hell out of him. He had these big old brown eyes, and he opened them real wide and ran away. About 10 minutes later, there's this kid again. Now he's standing in front of the stage, off to the side, and he's watching me as I work. After the show, when Etta was in her dressing room taking off her makeup, there was a knock on the door. Who is it? She asked. It's me. Who's me? Michael, the young voice said. Michael Jackson. I don't know no Michael Jackson, Etta said. Yes, you do. I'm that little kid you told to scat. Etta, a robust black woman with dyed blonde hair and a big booming voice, cracked the door open and looked down to find a 9-year-old gazing up at her with large, wondering eyes. What you want, boy? She asked. In a manner that wasn't the last bit timid, Michael said, Miss James, my father told me to come on back here and apologize to you. I'm sorry, man, but I was just watching you because you're so good. You're just so good. How do you do that? I never seen people clap like that. Ada, now flattered, smiled and patted the boy on the head. Come in here and sit with me, she said. I can teach you a few tricks. I don't remember what I told him, I recalled, but I remember thinking he was leaving now. There's a boy who wants to learn from the best. So one day he's gonna be the best. While Joseph was at the American Federation of Musicians Hall in New York filling out certain forms for the Apollo engagement, he met a young white lawyer by the name of Richard Aarons. After talking to him for just a few moments, Joseph asked Aarons to help him manage his sons. Joseph relished the idea of having white assistants, a preference that would cause problems for him in years to come. Aarons, as a co-manager, began seeking concert bookings for the group, while Joseph tried to interest the record industry in them. At one point, he tried to contact Barry Gordy, president of Motown, by sending him an audio tape of some of the Jackson songs. There was no reaction from Gordy or from anyone else at Motown. In 1968, when the Jackson 5 played the Regal Theater in Chicago, Motown Records artist Gladys Knight arranged for some of Motown's executives, but not Barry, to attend the show. There was some interest in the group at that time. Word got back to Barry as the Jacksons were an up and coming act, but still there was no interest for him in terms of seeing them to the label. In July 1968, when Jackie was 17, Taylor 14, Jimmy 13, Marlon 10, and Michael 9, the group performed at Chicago's High Taraborrelli Club as an opening act for a group called Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers. After he saw the Jackson Boys in action, Taylor telephoned Ralph Seltzer, head of Motown's creative department, and also head of the company's legal division, to suggest that the group be allowed to audition for Motown. I have some doubts, Ralph Seltzer will recall, creative considerations aside. I had concerns about their age and why they would change when they grow older, in terms of their appearance and their voices, but there was so much excitement about them from Bobby. I finally told her to bring him on to Detroit. Though the Jacksons were scheduled to leave Chicago for a local television program in New York, Bobby Taylor convinced Joseph that he should instead take the boys to Detroit for an audition. Taylor arranged to film their performance. If the boys were impressive, he said, Ralph Seltzer will let them forward the film to Barry Gordy, who was in Los Angeles, for his approval. Later that day, Catherine recalled the High Chaparral Club to talk about to her husband. She was told that He and the boys are gone to the Motor City. Detroit? She asked, puzzled. You mean to tell me they gave up that television show to go to Detroit? What in the world for? Motown, said the voice in the other end. They've gone to Motown.